My Lords, I too rise to speak as a member of the Review Committee on the Modern Slavery Act in this 10th anniversary week. It was world-leading legislation, as we've heard. I also rise in the week that the Church commemorates Harriet Monsell, founder of the Anglican community of St John the Baptist, Clwyd, a community which, from its 19th century inception, had as a core vocation the care particularly of female victims of human trafficking. That community has for several years funded training of community groups across the United Kingdom to notice the trafficked people, women, men and children, hiding in plain sight in their midst, and to act on their behalf. Clwyd has also produced apps, notably for car washes and nail bars, giving assurance on their labour practices as suppliers. And in today's debate, that's where I would like to focus my remarks. I draw attention to Section 54 of the Modern Slavery Act, which imposes a duty on companies supplying goods or services which have a turnover of at least 36 million to prepare a slavery and human trafficking statement every financial year. The statement should set out the steps that business is taking to address and prevent the rise of modern slavery in its operations and supply chains. I know that some take that commitment very seriously. I was happy to meet with one such company recently, Primark, which undertakes thorough and regular independent audits of its factories, employing experts who speak the local language and in turn talk to the local workforce so they know what is going on the ground, and once they find the situation has materially changed, they pull out of the market. For example, in 2019, Primark found they could no longer conduct effective human rights due diligence in Xinjiang province of China, so they prohibited all suppliers from using and sourcing products, materials, components or labour originating from the region. Primark has taken equally decisive action when UK suppliers have been found to be non-compliant. Our report included recommendations on strengthening statutory guidance in Section 54 of the Act and the introduction of sanctions for non-compliance, as Baroness O'Grady indicated. I look forward to hearing more from the Minister on progress in this area. The issue of modern slavery and exploitation in supply chains raises questions about corporate accountability. While consumer businesses are exposed to a greater level of transparency and accountability, their lesser-known competitors can get away with publishing weak statements or not publishing at all, then the knowledge any penalties are unlikely to be forthcoming. I know many businesses, including the British Retail Consortium, John Lewis, Tesco's and others, are asking for further regulation so that companies who operate supply chains free from forced labour are not left at a financial disadvantage. A change in the law would chime with the public, as polling shows 4 in 5 people want a new law to prevent exploitative practice. And law must, in future, hold UK companies accountable, establishing a central registry of statements, similar to the Gender Pay Gap Register, enforcing the Modern Slavery Act by imposing financial penalties where companies fail to publish a statement and provide swift access to justice for victims. Public sector organisations are also vulnerable to modern slavery risks in their supply chains and lack the resources and legal power to address potential labour exploitation threats. Currently, public sector organisations, as we know, are driven by the need to drive down costs and find savings wherever they can, but it is vital individuals are not endangered through their association with such risks. The government's modern slavery assessment tool indicates 21% of suppliers were identified as high risk and surgical instruments, gloves, gowns, uniforms, and masks, PPE, were identified as the 5 highest risk products. A possible reform to procurement processes could be the introduction of clauses into public tender legislation mandating explicit disclosures about modern slavery risks. These clauses would require suppliers to demonstrate due diligence and reaffirm their commitment to preventing modern slavery. The Modern Slavery Act was truly groundbreaking when it was first introduced, but it must keep pace in changes to business practices by recognising the increasing complexities of supply chains. There are exemplary practices, as I've indicated, but these need regulatory support and a corporate environment where best practice is actively encouraged. Incentivising businesses would create a competitive and regulatory environment where companies would race to the top rather than race to the bottom. The law, as it currently stands, discourages businesses from doing anything but the bare minimum and leaves the UK record on human trafficking, once so powerfully pioneering, now profoundly blemished.